Been doing this self-discovery thing. Just trying to figure myself out. Because I know I'm broken. We're all broken. My son, he's been saying a few things to me that have been very interesting. Because he's on the outside looking in. Sometimes you don't know who's on the outside looking in and if they actually have an opinion of you. And he's got a little bit of a way with words. And something that he told me was, I have no threshold. I want to get into that. But first, guys, like, comment, subscribe, but mostly subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get all of my new content every Monday and every Thursday. Sometimes there might be a bonus throughout the week, but like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so YouTube can let you know when I'm talking about new stuff. Go ahead, click it now. Click it now. Click it now. But my son tells me, Dad, you have no threshold. I had to ponder that for a little bit. I have no threshold. What does that mean? If you guys checked out my other video, everything is a double-edged sword. The sword cuts both ways. I said that for a reason. I'm listening to him saying I don't have a threshold. Okay, what does that mean? There's no ceiling. You can't stop yourself. I think of bad examples, like maybe you're eating at a buffet and you can't ever stop. So you're fat. It's what you are. You have no threshold. You can't stop. But how does that look if I were to consider it another way with some of this tough stuff that I was going through? How do I consider that another way? If you can't push yourself away from the table and you can eat too much food, what if you're in like a toxic relationship or something? But you have no threshold, so you won't ever stop, you won't back off, you won't leave it alone. Stands to reason that you might do that. Here's one of the ways I don't have a threshold. This one was tough. So I used to coach my son in basketball, and I pushed him. I pushed him hard. I knew what he was capable of. I knew the talent that he had, but I knew he was raw. He's a raw basketball player. And I needed to pair his rawness with his ability by teaching him better skills. If you've ever tried anything tactile, like painting or shooting a basketball or dribbling or something like that, you may really want to get in there. You want to get in there. But someone has to come along and tell you, hey, no, you want to grip the brush this way. I know nothing about painting, so if I'm messing it up, screw you. So you're painting. So no, grip the brush this way. Take your time like this. Do whatever the painting 101 brush holding do's and don'ts are, someone's got to come along and coach you up. So I pushed him. I pushed him hard and I taught him a lot. And he learned how to play basketball, became a fine player, but ultimately did not want to continue playing basketball because I pushed too hard. Because remember, I have no threshold. He was right about that because I never really took the time to hit a threshold and say, whoa, you know enough now. I don't have to teach you the same way that I always taught you. I don't have to do that. It was something that I had to learn. When he put it into words, I don't have a threshold, that immediately came to my mind. I thought about it. All the things that had happened over the years and all the problems and all the things. So while I have no threshold, here's how that looks in practice. I love really, really hard. But sometimes my love can suffocate. My love can suffocate. Good if I don't have a threshold. So I'll hug, I'll squeeze, I'll come closer, I'll come closer. And before you know it, you're saying, get the hell off! Thresholds are good. They're good to be built into you. They're good to be removed. They're good to be massaged. They're good to change. Gotta remember that about having thresholds. I think we're all like that in one way or another. What don't you have a threshold with? Chocolate? Fried food? The gym? Working out? Relationships? Brunches? Shoot, I love brunches. I just learned brunching was a thing like last year. Brunching is legit. Kava, Baltimore, T-Volve. There's this new spot that's all... We're off subject now. But whew, brunching. Mimosas? Because I have no threshold and I always want the best for people, I invest. I invest in them more than they invest in themselves. I used to think that was admirable. And it was, and it is. It's a good thing to invest in someone. But if you look at investment like what it is, you're supposed to get something back. A return on investment, right? That's what you're supposed to get back. If I look at a person like a stock, I put my money in, I expect to get more money out. People are different than stock, and you shouldn't necessarily expect to get something out like that all the time. If I give you my energy and effort, I fully expect you to at least give me your effort. If I give you my knowledge, the least you could do is try to implement it. Return on investment. I give this, you take that, and ultimately you give something back. Not to me for selfish reasons, for you. I was giving you advice, so please, you gotta learn not to hold your stock for too long. Another mistake I made. And I hope this video can help someone, because that's really what I want you to learn and really what I want you to take away from this. Don't hold your stock in people for too long. Take your time, go back, look at the portfolio, see how the stock is performing, see how the person's performing. And if the person's performing well, you keep that stock, or you keep that person in your financial portfolio, your emotional, friendship, love, marital portfolio. But if all of a sudden you look at your portfolio and you're in the red, like emotionally, like you're in the red, you just, the relationship is not yielding the results you wanted it to. There is no return on investment. You're not getting anything out of this. You gotta sell the stock. You gotta get rid of the person. You gotta sell. Sell! It's tough selling that stock. That stock could bounce back. We could just be in a downswing. That stock could come back. Take it from me. If it's failing now and it comes back, maybe you buy it back at a higher price. But that's investing. Maybe you miss out on all the gains, but you gotta step away from that stock a little bit sometimes. Step away from it. Maybe there's a change on the board. Maybe the company moves in another direction, and all of a sudden they become profitable again. And then you want to come back and you buy the stock. Okay, you sold it for 10 bucks. You get back in when it's $12. It's costing you a little bit more. But what if the company didn't change? What if you bought the stock at 10 and it dropped to $5 and it was on its way to 2? If you sell when it's at $5, you did yourself a favor. You only lost 5. You can go out, yeah, you're down $5. You can only look for stocks that cost $5 or below at this point. But it's okay, because you learned something. You didn't lose it all. That's what I'm learning. I want you to learn the same thing. Oh, I got a couple stories for you guys. I'm a really, really, really thorough researcher. And there are 2 things that I want to tell you about that happened with me. So I had a motorcycle, a Suzuki Boulevard M50. I had one of those. And good motorcycle. I liked it. It was fine. It was my starter bike, my only bike I ever had. Great. But I probably researched bikes in general for like 4.5 years or something. I just didn't want to make the wrong move. Should it be a 600cc? Should it be 1,000? Should I get one that I can grow into? Should I get one that's small and then I'll get a bigger one later? What are all the things I should do? Blah, blah, blah. Money. Should I save more? Should I do whatever? And the whole time I'm saving and saving and saving. I socked away enough money to buy the motorcycle in cash. I don't have a threshold. So I just continued to research and research and research. I'd already known enough. I'd gotten my license and everything. The only thing I had to do was buy the bike, but I have no threshold. So I just kept researching. Till I was talking to my wife and I said, hey, like, how do you feel about me getting a bike? And she's like, you've been saving up and talking about this bike for like 3 years or something. She's like, go buy the bike. That was all I needed to be knocked out of my threshold. Went and bought the bike. Really tough. I missed out on 4 years of riding. I mean, think about that. 4 years of riding I missed out on. I no longer own a bike. Maybe I'll get one, maybe I won't. Living in Maryland, the drivers are not great and it's congested and it's not fun. And the reason I want to travel now, even though I love driving and I loved riding my motorcycle, I just kind of want to get from point A to point B comfortably now. doing this vlog and I got a bunch of other things on my plate, and I really don't want to add any more stress to my life. And riding that bike was a little bit stressful at times. I then sold the bike with plans of getting a Hayabusa, Suzuki, another one. And bigger bike, faster bike, sport bike, not a cruiser like the other one. But again, that took me a really long time. I sold the bike, and I just had the money, and I just kept saving it, and I just kept throwing more and more money into that account with that bike, more and more money. Then the safety thing and riding a bike again and all of that, I just said, I think maybe I'm done. Into this guy right here. I have it on a nice little strap. This is my most irresponsible purchase I have ever made. Like I said, I sold the motorcycle and I've been saving up for another bike, but the other bike wasn't coming, and then I got into watches. In fact, this watch was the first watch that I fell in love with outside of, geez, can you even see that? Ugh. This watch was the first watch I fell in love with on the wrist of Daniel Craig when he was in one of the James Bond movies, and I'm just like, what is that? I'd always liked watches, but I'd always liked sort of, Fossil. Fossil was really my thing. But I'm like, what is that watch? And it's an Omega Seamaster Planet Ocean. It is a pricey watch. I never thought I would spend that amount of money on a watch. But I knew I wasn't riding the motorcycle. It's the justification that I used. And I'd been researching, and I have a friend, he's really into watches, and he was showing me his, and I said, man, the only watch that I ever really fell head over heels in love with was that watch that Daniel Craig had on in James Bond. Seamaster Planet Ocean. Love it. So after researching like I always do, I eventually pulled the trigger on that one. I went with him and he picked up a couple watches over a couple of years, and then I finally pulled the trigger on one for me. It was like the dam was broken. I had no threshold, and I never really did anything for myself. Like, exclusively for me. On the outside looking at people say, oh geez, you did that for yourself. You played basketball, you did this, you did that. But I always had other things in mind. I never did anything that's just like for me. I'm doing this for me with no compromise. Even buying video game consoles. I'm looking at my PlayStation 4 right there. Well, I got that because, the family could watch Netflix and Hulu, and my son can play video games and I can play with him. So there's all these justifications totally outside of me. But having no threshold, that's how I operated over and over. No threshold. So buying that motorcycle, it was really tough. But most importantly, buying this watch, that was probably the hardest thing, because the sum of money was so large. And to me now, still, I don't even want to say the price right now. And I bought it used. Used. Sounds like I'm talking about a damn car, right? I didn't come from a lot. So there's a big part of me that doesn't feel like I deserve it. So there's a threshold that I didn't have even for that. Didn't have a threshold. Didn't have a threshold for even wanting to do something for me. Do you have a threshold? If you do, where do you stop? If you don't have a threshold like me, what's that thing that happens? What gets you? What have you deprived yourself from because you don't have a threshold? I'm about to head up to New York. I've decided I'm going to spend $300 to $400 on one ticket to go and see Bryan Cranston do In the Play Network. I love Bryan Cranston. Watching him go from what I knew him on Malcolm in the Middle as the dad to whatever this character is on Broadway. And I just knew the guy in the middle, Walter White on Breaking Bad. I'm like, I love this guy. I'm gonna go up and see him. And I will let you know how that play is, but my threshold has now changed. I actually have a threshold. There are big changes coming in my life. And I'm doing things for me as well. Thresholds can be good, but they can also paralyze you like mine did me. or the lack of thresholds did me. Remember, that sword cuts both ways. Like, comment, subscribe to this one. Hit that notification bell. And please leave me a comment. Do you have a threshold? Or are you just a sucker like me? Catch you guys in the next one.